A driveway in 1974. It's a warm July morning in 1974. The sun hasn't fully burned off the haze, but the driveway is already alive with movement. A cooler slams shut. A duffel bag refuses to zip. Somewhere inside the house, someone is yelling about forgetting socks. And parked at the center of it all is the car. Not just any car, a station wagon. Long, heavy, wood-paneled like a rolling living room. Maybe it's a Ford Country Squire or a Chevrolet Caprice Estate, something with chrome that catches the morning light just right. It doesn't purr, it rumbles. This isn't a vehicle, it's a commitment. The doors swing open and that first wave hits you, the smell of hot vinyl seats mixed with yesterday's fast food and a faint hint of motor oil. Seatbelts? Maybe in the front. In the back, it's more of a suggestion than a rule. Dad's behind the wheel, one arm casually resting on the window. Mom is organizing snacks like a field general. The kids are already arguing before the engine even turns over. No GPS, no playlists, no air conditioning in some cases. Just miles of open road, and absolutely no idea what might happen next. Planning a road trip in the 1970s wasn't about tapping a screen. It was an art form, a messy, paper-covered, occasionally frustrating art form. At the center of it all was the map. Not a neat little app, but a giant, impossible-to-fold-back piece of paper that seemed to grow larger every time you opened it. Gas stations would hand them out like treasure, especially if you were a member of the American Automobile Association, better known as AAA. And if you were really serious, you got a triptych. The triptych wasn't just a map, it was a curated journey, a spiral-bound booklet highlighting your route mile by mile with recommended stops and attractions. It felt official, almost like someone had planned your adventure just for you. But even then, nothing was guaranteed. Miss a turn? There was no calm voice recalculating your route. There was just confusion, maybe an argument, possibly a full stop on the side of the road while Dad unfolded the map for the 10th time, trying to figure out where things went wrong. And heaven help you if the map tore. Getting lost wasn't a glitch, it was part of the experience. Inside the station wagon, a whole society existed. Up front, the adults ruled. Windows cracked open just enough for the breeze and the cigarette smoke to drift out. The radio played softly, interrupted by weather reports or the occasional static burst. Dad drove, Mom navigated, maps spread across her lap like a general plotting strategy. In the back, chaos. If you were lucky, you got a window seat. If you weren't, you were stuck in the middle, negotiating invisible borders with siblings. Don't cross the line wasn't just a rule, it was law. And then there was the way back, that rear-facing third-row seat. A strange invention where kids sat facing the cars behind them, waving at strangers or making faces at passing drivers. It felt rebellious, slightly dangerous, completely unforgettable. Seatbelts were often ignored. Kids sprawled across seats, laid on the floor, or leaned against windows as the miles rolled by. And then, inevitably, it would begin. Are we there yet? Not once, not twice, but dozens of times. Each repetition sharper than the last, each answer shorter than the one before. No tablets, no smartphones, no streaming. Road trip entertainment in the 1970s required creativity. There were Mad Libs, those little books that turned random words into ridiculous stories. Give me a noun, someone would shout. Now a verb. The results were always chaotic and always funny. Then came the license plate game. Spot as many states as you could. Alabama, New York. Wait, is that Idaho? Every passing car became a challenge. Comic books were gold. Dog-eared, traded, reread until the pages nearly fell apart. Sometimes you'd even read the same issue 5 times before lunch. And the radio? Ah, the radio. It wasn't reliable. As you crossed state lines, stations faded in and out like ghosts. A song would start strong, then dissolve into static before the chorus. You'd twist the dial, searching for something, anything that came through clearly. But when it worked, it felt magical. Music wasn't just background noise, it was the soundtrack to the journey.
Outside the windows, America rolled by like a living postcard. The 1970s were a turning point. The interstate highway system had transformed travel, wide, fast roads connecting cities like never before. But something was being lost. The old highways, especially US Route 66, were fading. Once lined with quirky motels and neon-lit diners, they were slowly being bypassed by the efficiency of the interstate. Still, the roadside culture hadn't disappeared. You'd spot the bright orange roofs of Howard Johnson's, or Hojo's, as everyone called it. Inside, fried clams, ice cream, and a brief moment of air-conditioned relief. Then there was Stuckey's, part gift shop, part snack haven. Pecan logs stacked by the register, souvenirs you didn't need but somehow couldn't resist. And the diners. Small, greasy, perfect. Places where coffee was always hot, pancakes were always oversized, and the waitress called you hun without hesitation. These weren't just stops. They were part of the journey. Not every road trip was carefree. In the background of many 1970s journeys was a very real tension, the 1973 oil crisis. Gas stations ran dry, lines stretched for blocks. Drivers waited, engines off, hoping there'd be fuel left when they reached the pump. Some states introduced odd-even rationing. If your license plate ended in an odd number, you could only buy gas on certain days. Even numbers, different days. Road trips had to be planned more carefully. Detours weren't just inconvenient, they could be risky. And then came the double nickel, a nationwide speed limit of 55 miles per hour. Slower roads, longer drives, a forced shift in pace. But maybe, just maybe, that slower speed changed something else too. Today, we travel faster, smarter, more efficiently. We have GPS that never gets lost, streaming that never fades, air conditioning that keeps us perfectly comfortable. But something is missing. In the 1970s, the road trip wasn't just about getting somewhere, it was about being somewhere. In that cramped station wagon, families talked, or argued, or sat in long, quiet stretches watching the world pass by. They noticed things. The shape of distant mountains, the endless stretch of farmland, the way small towns appeared and disappeared like scenes in a movie. There were no distractions pulling attention away, just the road and each other. Yes, it was messy, loud, occasionally unbearable, but it was real. Every roadside stop became a memory. Every mile carried a sense of discovery that no algorithm could replicate. And maybe that's the real lost art. Not the maps, not the cars, not even the roads, but the feeling that the journey itself was enough.